Good evening and welcome. 100 days since Vice President Kamala Harris was tapped to lead the Democratic presidential ticket. Tonight, she makes what could be the most important address of her truncated campaign, offering a closing argument to voters, laying out why Americans should put their faith in her and not in Donald Trump. The vice president delivers her message with 1 week until the election at the Ellipse in Washington, framed by the White House in the background and by history before her. From the spot where Donald Trump called on supporters to head to the Capitol on January 6, 2021. Former President Trump back in Pennsylvania tonight, offering what amounts to a prebuttal to Harris's message, while facing new fallout over crude and racist jokes uttered by a comedian at a rally in his name over the weekend. Mr. Trump today calling that rally a love fest. Peter Alexander is in Washington to start us off tonight.
Tonight, her closing argument. Vice President Harris in the midst of a dead heat race set to deliver a major speech with the White House as her backdrop. Harris, advisors tell NBC News, will call on Americans to turn the page on what they call the Trump era of chaos and division.
Either it's going to be Donald Trump sitting in the Oval Office stewing over his enemies list, or me there working on behalf of the American people on my to-do list.
According to newly released excerpts, Harris will say Donald Trump has spent a decade trying to keep the American people divided and afraid of each other. That's who he is. But America, she adds, I'm here tonight to say that's not who we are. After weeks of sharpening her attacks on former President Trump, including highlighting critical comments from his longest-serving chief of staff.
Do you think Donald Trump is a fascist?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
Tonight, Harris will say, I pledge to seek common ground and common sense solutions to make your lives better. I am not looking to score political points. I am looking to make progress. She'll be speaking from the Ellipse, the same spot where then President Trump on January 6th urged his supporters to march to the Capitol.
Because you'll never take back our country with weakness.
More than 170 officers were assaulted in the violence that followed. Her target audience, 18% of registered voters who say they're still persuadable, according to the latest CNBC poll. Still, Harris faces a challenge. She's the incumbent VP with 75% of Americans saying they're dissatisfied with the direction of the country. And most polls show Americans trust Trump more than Harris to handle the economy and immigration. We pressed senior Harris advisor David Plouffe.
2/3 of Americans say that the country is going in the wrong direction right now. For those voters, why is picking the incumbent vice president the right choice?
Well, I think she's been clear. She's not Joe Biden. She's not Donald Trump. And elections are a choice. And I think he's reminding people every day some of the concerns people have about putting him back in the Oval Office, back in the Situation Room.
Peter, this is Vice President Harris's closing argument tonight, but it's also the kickoff of the final stretch for her campaign.
Lester, Vice President Harris is hoping to capitalize from the energy and enthusiasm at this event with a frenetic 48 hours, hitting 5 of the 7 key battleground states, including a stop this week in Las Vegas with superstar Jennifer Lopez. Lester.
Peter Alexander starting us off tonight. Thanks. Tonight, former President Trump with his own pitch to voters, going after Vice President Harris on the economy and the border while making no mention of those racist remarks by a comedian at his Madison Square Garden rally. Here's Garrett Haake.
Tonight, former President Trump back in battleground Pennsylvania.
We have 6 days to go, Joe. We got to win.
After making his own pitch to voters ahead of Vice President Harris's closing argument tonight, Trump vowing he'll deliver change on immigration.
Kamala Harris has obliterated our borders.
And the economy.
Millions of Americans are lying awake at night, worried about how they'll pay their bills because Kamala wrecked their family finances.
But also facing new fallout after his Madison Square Garden rally and bipartisan backlash over a comedian's racist remarks, including this about Puerto Rico.
There's literally a floating island of garbage in the middle of the ocean right now. Yeah, I think it's called Puerto Rico. Okay, all right, okay. We're getting there.
The comments slammed by Republicans, Democrats, and Puerto Rican music superstar and Harris supporter Bad Bunny. The Trump campaign has distanced itself from the remarks, but Trump has not, making no mention of the controversy while praising the event today.
The love in that room, it was breathtaking. It was like a love fest. an absolute love fest, and it was my honor to be involved.
But could the controversy cost Trump in a place like Allentown, Pennsylvania, where he's holding a rally tonight? Latinos are a majority of the population here. Today we met Trump supporter Felipe Rosario.
I voted for Trump last time. I'm going to do it again. The economy sucks at this point.
We asked his reaction to the comedian's comments.
Does that blow back on Trump in your mind?
No, I don't. That doesn't affect me at all. I don't agree with that guy. That's not what Trump is not a racist like everybody says he is.
We also met Enid Santiago.
The fact that somebody thought that it was funny to say that an island that has been beat down is garbage, it was hurtful.
She is Puerto Rican and a Harris supporter.
The anger. I had about 17 messages in a matter of an hour of, did you see what just happened? Did you see what they called your island?
Trump supporter Senator Marco Rubio has said he, quote, understood why some people were offended by the comedian. He's appearing with Trump tonight.
Madison Square Garden Sunday night, was that event a missed opportunity to be more clear about his message?
No, I think he gave a great message. Look, some guy said some stupid joke, an insult comic, and probably not the right guy to invite to speak.
And Garrett, former President Trump not mentioning the controversy today, but his campaign is clearly thinking about it.
It seems that way, Lester. The Trump campaign putting out 3 Puerto Rican Trump supporters tonight, all to argue that Mr. Trump is the better choice for their community. Meanwhile, the former president set to rally tomorrow night in Green Bay with Packers legend Brett Favre. Lester?
Okay, Garrett Haake, thank you. This election year, abortion rights are on the ballot in several states. And in Florida, where more than 6 million have already voted, advocates are making their case to Republicans in living rooms across the state. Here's Laura Jarrett.
Thank you all so much for coming.
In this suburban living room, a group of women united over a single issue.
I am a pro-choice Republican.
Me too.
There are a lot of women I know who are just like me.
We've got to get them out there to vote.
A lifelong Republican in Florida, Carol Whitmore is laser focused on mobilizing others like her to vote in favor of abortion rights this election.
We decided to start this group. It's called Republican Women for Freedom.
And what was the motivation behind it?
It was to give the Republicans and others a safe place to talk about this issue and talk about facts.
How did you get involved in the issue of reproductive rights?
When I was young, I had to have an abortion, and I thought, well, if people like me don't speak up, it's going to always be this way.
She's using informal house parties like this one to reach conservative women in private, hoping to galvanize support on Amendment 4, a proposal that would wipe out the state's existing 6-week abortion ban and restore access to the procedure up to the point of fetal viability.
We want you to get the message out that nobody messes with our bodies.
Florida, one of nearly a dozen states with abortion rights on the ballot this election, but the only one that requires a 60% supermajority, meaning it needs bipartisan support to pass. Agreement like we found with Jane and her daughter Beth.
So mom liberal, daughter more moderate, and yet on this issue, you're completely aligned.
Absolutely. There are a lot of women like me that might be fiscally conservative, but socially 100% that we believe a woman has a right to choose who decides what happens to her body.
Jane, at times, growing emotional.
We had no legal abortions, and I've fought all my life to get this going. And then it was settled, Roe versus Wade. Wow, yay! And then all of a sudden, it's overturned, and now we're fighting all over again.
But there is deep division among Republicans. Governor Ron DeSantis, who signed the 6-week ban into law, has been actively campaigning for the amendment to fail.
If you don't know what this would do, you should vote no. This is something that is going to be a part of Florida forever.
While former President Trump once said the 6-week ban went too far,
It has to be more time.
He later changed his stance, saying he would vote against the amendment. But back in Manatee County, Carol is staying the course.
You're in the second most conservative county
in Florida.
In Florida.
Yes. Trump will probably win my county, but on this issue, the women are going to speak up.
Laura Jarrett, NBC News, Lakewood Ranch, Florida.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.